Salutations, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to speak a bit about my progress in developing my gem match game and the progress I have made in the past week. While recording the last video, I noticed that I overlooked something important when making the special gems, and that is the chain effect. Because of how I wrote my code for the special gems, they basically could only be activated by the player. I needed to incorporate the ability for them to interact with each other when one is triggered. So, for the past few days, I've been working on preparing the coding for chain effects of these special gems, and I think I've been able to find a solution for now. And that would be the end of my recap. But it felt like spending all this time just to say a few sentences doesn't feel very informative, nor does it feel like a good vlog. So I decided that I would talk about one technique I picked up recently that I believe will save me a lot of time and headache when the time comes to adjust and tweak information closer to the end of production. And that is the use of variables. In GDevelop, there really is no limitation in what you can use the variables for, and there are a few different types of variables that provide different advantages. While I am probably not one who can provide insight to those advantages, I can tell you of the advantage it has provided me in developing this game. While going through the creation process, you get to realize that some of the information you input into your coding can potentially change the more you progress in game creation, and have to make adjustments when different aspects of your game change, like display, assets, orientation, etc. For my game in particular, one of the things I may have to adjust in the future is the animation I created for the gems when a match is registered. My animation right now is not a sprite animation, but rather image manipulation, made possible by using the tweening tool in GDevelop. Tweening allows you to manipulate the scale and size of an image, among other things, to give it an animated effect. I made use of this effect to give the impression of the gem disappearing. Then a new gem will fall from above and take its place. Since this is not a sprite animation, this procedure is very time specific, and that is where the variables come into play. The order of events need to flow seamlessly in order to give the impression of a flawless animation. And while this is something that is only really important closer to the end of production, I felt it necessary to prepare the groundwork for it early. And that is because the coding falls in line with the triggering of the gems when 3 or more are matched. I would essentially have to write this code for each individual gem. If you look at how the animation effect is constructed, you will see how each of the tweening processes are presented. First, the gem image is shrunk along the x-axis. Then, after a period of time, the new gem is coded to expand back to the original size and is spawned at a height from which it is then coded to descend to its position on the board with a bit of a raindrop effect. Each variable you see here takes the place of a numerical value that is meant to be inserted for the simulation. Since each gem is meant to undergo the same animation, it would mean that each of the 81 gems would need to have the same animation timing. Now, imagine if I had to make an adjustment to one of the aspects of this animation in the future. Let's say change the timing of the descent from 1 to 2 seconds. It would mean that I would have to change this part of the coding for all 81 gems individually. With variables, however, that is no longer a concern, since I just have to change the value of the variable, and this change will occur for all gems. This is something I am very glad I was able to learn in the beginning of developing this game, and it alleviates me of any concerns I would have when tweaking the animation of the gems in the future for it to look way better than it does right now. So that's it for this week's video. Like, subscribe, and tune in to the vlogs as I continue to present my progress in developing this game. Also, I have listed some of my other games in the description if you are interested in trying them out. Maybe help me get my numbers up a bit. Alright guys, until next time. Salut!